Hello, beautiful, feminine, divine leaders. This is Nuna Isima here, and I want to talk today about our inner dynamics. I like to call it the Holy Trinity within. Most of us do aware that we have the inner feminine and inner masculine within us, but I think less of us are aware that it's actually a trinity, it's actually a triangle of dynamics. There is the feminine and masculine, of course, but there is also the inner child within. And forever, from the day we are born until the day we die, we are cultivating and having an inner relationship between those dynamics, between those essences. And they are very different in nature. And it's really not about creating a balance as such between them because they are so different. We can't really, when you think about balance, I think about scales, and you put something on one side of the scale and the other side needs to balance it out, right? So this is balance. We cannot really do that with our inner essences, with our feminine and masculine and child. We rather strive for harmony. In other ways, sometimes we need more of our feminine energy, and sometimes we need more of our masculine energy. And sometimes the child is in charge, and it's important to be aware of it, of the inner dynamics of what is going on. And so let's talk a little bit about the feminine and masculine before I touch on it, on the child. And so the feminine energy in its nature, it's circular, it's flowing, it's creative, it's your intuitive side, it's your creative, manifesting, birthing to the world, mystic side. And if you can think about space, this is the energy that I kind of, it makes sense to have the feminine as space, right? It's undefinable. It's taking its shape according to what is around it. On the negative side of it, it can be chaotic. It can be all over the place, right? So the masculine energy is the logical, linear, quantifiable energy. It's the directing, it's the providing, it's the protecting. And I like to see that energy as time, right? So time, it's something that is quantifiable. You can have it on a linear kind of timeline, and it's more of a straight direction. And when time and space meet, there's a meeting point, and that is the now. We can never have a now moment without time and space meeting together. And I like to think about it in terms of, the energy of the feminine and masculine. When they meet, they create life. They create something else, right? So it can be a baby, it can be a project that we birth to the world, it can be a book that we write, it can be anything that we create. We need to have both collaborating together. We cannot birth anything with only the feminine, because then it will be chaotic, then it will be all over the place. It won't have direction, it won't have that goal oriented future that we really need in order to birth. And if it's only the masculine without the feminine, it will be very dry, it will be very analytical, and very it won't have life, it won't have flow, it won't have that creativity, right? So that's why it's important to understand that we can't really have balance between those energy. We can have collaboration, we can have harmony. There are times and situations and events in our lives that require more of our masculine energy. We need to really like you know work with that energy of when is it going to happen, what is the goal, how I'm going to get there, break it into small little steps, have it all figured out from the mind, from the logic, from the thoughts. But then we have to really bring on board the feminine energy, which is more emotional, it's more flowing, it's downloading the mystery. It's not as step by step, it's more like a download, and both together are creating life. Now, we all have the masculine and feminine essence, and this whole talk about gender that happens all around the world at the moment, and I feel there's so much confusion around it. Saying that we are non-binary, and I totally agree with that. We are non-binary. However, we have all that inner dynamics of our inner feminine, our inner masculine, and our inner child. And the child essence is our own essence from the moment we have been conceived, and really until the moment we die. We carry that child within us, from birth, from baby, from toddler, and then moving on into teen, and so on. And we when we are so-called independent, when we are so-called adults, which, by the way, age does not define adults. You can look around and you'll see many adults in shells. They're not really matured to be adults. They still pretty much inhabiting a wounded child within them. And unfortunately, we can even see it with a lot of our leaders in the world. They are children in adults' shells. They're not really matured to be, that responsible, wise adult that hopefully we are. That's the journey that we going towards as we mature. But it's not for granted. Some people really get stuck, sometimes at a certain age. Sometimes they experience a certain trauma at a certain age, and they literally got stuck in that age. So the body develops, and so on the outlook looks as an adult body, right? The features and the heights and the overall look, but really in reality, it's still a child trapped in that body that has not matured. And so when we become adults, we really have to carry on parenting that inner child within us. We have to make sure that the child feels safe, that we, as the adults that now take care of that child, we are clear about our boundaries, about our consent, about the people that we give our energy to. We make sure that we're not exposing that child to toxic people, right? We have that choice to decide who we share our energy with. And sometimes this even means that we have to get toxic people out of our life, even if they are family. And it's absolutely okay to divorce a toxic parent. I just want to let that land for a second, because it absolutely is okay to divorce a toxic parent. I know that parent-child relationship is very intricate. It's very powerful on so many levels. But if the parent is stuck in unconsciousness and wounding, and it actually starts to spit off toxicity, we are absolutely allowed to divorce that parent, even if for some time, so that the parent will have a very clear understanding that there are some boundaries that they cannot step over, that it's not okay with us to have toxicity in our closest relationship in our life. So this is a whole other conversation, but really, we as adults now working with our feminine, masculine, and child energies, and we are able with consciousness to activate our inner mother and to activate our inner father so that they will hold those healthy pillars for the inner child. So the child feels protected, guided, looked after by the masculine, by the inner masculine. And also, the child feels that he's or she is open to her intuition, to her gut feeling, to her emotional sovereignty, right? Because we also, a lot of us as children, been really giving the messages that some of our emotions are okay and some of our emotions are not okay and not acceptable. And this is really, really problematic growing up with that discrimination between feelings, because as human beings, we have the entire array of feelings and they are all okay and they are all welcomed, right? And if you feel anger, then anger is there. And you feel rage, rage is there, or grief, or sadness, or whatever the energy may be, it is there. And not many of us has been guided as children to work with those emotions, to actually let them visit, feel them, channel them in ways that are not destructive, but rather constructive. And there are ways, because if you think about it, like the energy of rage, yes, it's fire, it's strong, it's powerful energy, but this is the energy that can create change. This is an energy that can spark some action, some maybe pioneering in some new ways. You know, this is an energy that says, this is actually not okay, and I want something else. So there is no good or bad energy. And all emotions are valid, but we as children did not really grow up to understand that. And for many of us, we've been either ridiculed for some emotions, or we've been asked in either verbal or non-verbal ways to suppress or to not show some emotions. And some of us even been punished for some of our emotions. Yeah, right? Who can connect to that? I know many stories of clients of mine, as well as I've experienced that myself. Who have ever heard the saying, you've got no reason to cry, and if you carry on crying, I'll give you a reason, right? If somebody experienced that, well, this is really disconnecting us from our feminine energy. And we as feminine leaders want to bring that energy fully online, and not on the expense of the masculine, by the way. I just want to make it clear. I think I've said it a few times, and it's important to really understand that on every level, that by me calling to this group divine feminine leadership, that is by no means feminine over masculine. This is just to say that we are bringing our feminine fully online, that feminine that was suppressed and disrespected and underestimated for generations upon generations. We want to bring it online, and we want to connect to it, especially as women, with the safe container of the divine masculine. So it's not instead of the divine masculine. By all means, it's with the divine masculine. And it's with the divine child, which I believe is that pure innocence part of the godlike energy that we are all born with. If you look at every single baby that is born into this world, you can see that it is pure, unconditional love and innocence that comes from the beyond. And this is how we all arrive here into this world. And then we start our journey. The soul goes through all kinds of initiations, through all kinds of challenging dynamics, especially with our family, right? Our family is our biggest soul teachers. They are the people that we have the most karmic connections to resolve, to grow through, to uncover, and to learn. And sometimes our learning is exactly as I mentioned, to put that boundary and say, this is not okay with me, not anymore. And sometimes it is really working through the differences and finding a mutual path forward and loving each other, even though we are very different and we have very different opinions and point of views and understandings, and really activating places, deep places of compassion and forgiveness and unconditional love, that we love somebody for who they are, even if we don't agree with them. So the work is really purifying and clearing everything that stands in our way to connect to the sacredness, to the divinity of our feminine, masculine, and child, and to clear that inner relationship, so that when we do that, all our outer relationships becomes better, because we have worked it from the inside out, because we became whole and integrated inside of us. And so that reflects on our outer relationships, because we are not coming into our, say, intimate relationships as beggars for love, as half people that looking for the other half to complete us. That's bound to wounding and toxicity. We want to step outside to the world, to all our outer relationships, from a place of inner sovereign power, from a place of integrity, from a place of wholeness and fullness, from a place of overflowing love, so that we can meet the other from an overflowing cup, overflowing love, rather than a beggar for love. And by working on our inner dynamics, we first of all improve our relationship with ourselves, because we learn how to be compassionate with our inner child. We learn how to parent that child as you would parent a child outside of you, right? With the same sensitivity, with the same loving, gentle care, which a lot of us do not do with our own inner child. A lot of us, if we check our inner dialogue, or the way we criticize ourselves, or the way we sometimes hard on ourselves, this is tough, living in a body that reacts like that towards itself, right? So it's really about understanding, shining the light of awareness into our inner dynamics and creating that harmony, so that it can shine from the inside out into our relationship with ourselves, as I mentioned, and also all our outer relationships, especially with intimate partners and other intimate relationships, our children, our parents, our besties, and our community. So when we come from a place of harmony, we've got that inner harmony, people can feel it. People are drawn to it, like bees are drawn to honey. It's very magnetic, it's very attractive. And this is really the work. This is what we are here to do, because once we've got that from the inside out, then anything we decide to do in the world, may it be our career or business or hobbies or anything that we want to share with others, come from that place of harmony, of um, inner peace, if you will. And so this is the work with a capital D, the, as my children say. So this is the work. So if you are in a place in your life that you are wanting to up level, you know that you have done a lot of work already, you have the awareness, you have even perhaps achieved some success, and you want to take yourself to the next level in your relationship with yourself, in your all other significant relationships, in your work, in what you're offering to the world, and you're ready to really quantum leap to the next level of your evolution, I invite you to come on a call with me where I will, together with you, map out where you are at currently, where you want to go, what is the work that you need to do, so that you really have a clear idea of what is it that is still missing or needing a little bit more work, so that you can break through what feels stuck and feels stagnant, so that you can really quantum leap to your next level. And I have an open spot for one-on-one work with two people. And if you feel called to be one of them, then please book a free discovery call with me. I will leave the link below. And that discovery call will already give you so much. So that will be really amazing. And then we can see if we are a fit to work together. So I want to ask you, how do you feel about your inner Holy Trinity? How do you feel about your inner feminine? How do you feel about your inner masculine? Do you feel that they in harmony together? Or do you feel that maybe one is overtaking the other and not really leaving space for the other? That there is maybe some kind of colliding between them, or even competition, or even war? And how do you feel with your inner child? So please leave a comment below so we can open a conversation. I really love these threads that creates from the live streams, because we really read each other's comments and learn so much and normalize what we all going through, so that we don't feel isolated and we don't feel alone in this rather challenging journey, right? So please leave a comment, and you can hashtag replay if you listening to the replay. And until the next time we meet, all my love to you, and lots more to come. Ciao.